Good afternoon, folks. Got another beer review for you here. This is a Mythica Succubus Golden IPA. It's the Beerjerk number 121 beer from around August 2017. 7% ABV. The IBU is said to be lower than most IPAs, and they're a pretty new brewery. This is one of two beers that they've started with. As far as I'm aware at the moment, it is available. The stockists are on the website. I couldn't find it at our local Liquorland, but that doesn't mean that it isn't here. So I can't give you a price on it. It's in a 500ml glass bottle with one of these full body wraps or full bottle wraps. The website's pretty minimal at the moment. There's a brief description of the two beers, an email address, link to their Facebook page, and some stockists, and a little bit about the scantily clad folk you'll find on the bottle, on both bottles actually. Like I said, they're a new Auckland-based brewery, started around Christmas time 2016. Two beers, both 7% variations on IPAs. One full-time, three part-time shareholders, and essentially, as I understand it, they brew in a 350 litre pilot brewery experimental beers, and then when they find one that they think's got a good commercial future, they contract brew that for commercial release. They've gone with these full wrap bottles to stand out on the shelves with what they call a mythical theme, and it's obviously going to be a bit divisive. As you can see, this is a scantily clad mythological woman who looks as if she's popped out of some sort of fantasy game. I get this stuff all the time on my phone in adverts for casino apps. I've got nothing against scantily clad folk. I mean, I live very close to a beach, so they walk past the house pretty regularly in the summer. But some people definitely aren't going to like this, particularly this one, which has got the rather pneumatically breasted woman with a three-tailed hop whip. So you're getting sort of pretty close to a sort of bondage and discipline themed beer, which I guess you may, well, there are some places you might want to take that sort of beer. There are other places you probably don't. And perhaps a little bit disappointingly, most of what I've heard about this brewery has been to do with the theme and the pictures on the bottles, and there hasn't been a lot about the beer. So I really wasn't expecting too much. But what do they say in it is in this one? It's Golden IPA. They say there's crystal malts for a bit of sweetness, and there's around 10% wheat on a Pilsner base to give more body and mouthfeel. The hops are Simcoe and Nelson Sauvin. And like I said before, you should end up with a lower IPU bitterness and hop profile than with a straight IPA. Again, there's not a lot on what they actually say the beer is going to be like, but this woman here, there's a bit more about her. Succubus. Apparently since medieval times there's been a myth of the succubus who's appeared in European, Middle Eastern and Indian cultures as a demon or evil spirit in female form who seduces and has sex with sleeping men. Succubus humulus is a species that uses an enchanted hop whip to subdue its favourite prey, which Mythica say is IPA drinkers. And the stories generally don't end well. So this is a bit of a mixture. This is actually a genuine mythological character. You can look up more detail on the internet. They put their own spin on it with the hop whip. So there you go. Let's crank it open and get away from the scantily clad woman and have a look at the beer. Okay, so there's a nice fingerful of head, even in my smaller glass here, and pretty true to name really. It is a golden, a lovely clear golden colour. Good carbonation, and if you didn't know any better, you'd say, yep, Golden IPA. There's that strong hop smell on the nose. And so let's have a taste and see what we think. It's the hops is definitely up front, probably more up front than some of your American variations on IPA, your Northwestern Pales and what have you. So I think that if you're used to a New Zealand IPA but you like something that's dialed back a little bit, this might be what you're looking for. There is a fair bit of sweetness there. I think I read somewhere that they said there's a bit of perhaps crystal malt which might give it that sweetness. But it's treating dangerously close to some of the commercial beers, which are a bit bland and sweet. Although this definitely isn't bland. There's a good depth of hop flavour there, and there is a nice mouthfeel from the malts. It's not. It's one of those fairly high alcohol beers at 7%, where you'd really have to be careful because it doesn't have the thick mouthfeel and the solid body that you'd get from a porter or a stout, and so it'd be quite easy to drink quite a bit of it. For someone who's used to a straight IPA, I suspect it would be too sweet. For someone who finds IPAs a little bit over the top and too bitter, this would be highly recommended if you can get past the bottle. Because it is a wrap, of course, you could use something like your Vanguard Dukes here to just slip it off and just take the beer bottle away. Why have I got the Dukes out on the table? Well, in the reviews of this knife, there were quite a few people who objected to the Dukes name because they thought it conjured up the Daisy Dukes shorts of Dukes of Hazzard days. So if people object to the name of a knife, which I actually think is a rather good flipper, as an aside, and the name doesn't bother me, there's going to be more than a few people who are going to struggle to take a beer like this home to their other half, or perhaps take it along to work after a hard day. So a rating, I'd give it 15, ignoring the bottle, no marks for or against, just rating the beer. I'd give it a 15 out of 20. Definitely a beer that I'd finish and enjoy drinking. No problems there, but probably not something I'd go out of my way to buy again. So there you go, the Mythica Brewing Succubus Golden IPA. If you see one around and think it'd go down well at home, grab yourself one. Have a good one. Cheers.